What's going on, guys? Mad Lab here. Welcome to the main event breakdown brought to you by the Mayo Media Network. Very good fight coming up. A lot of question marks going to be answered, especially on the TJ Dillashaw side of things. This is a guy who, obviously, we don't know his situation. He's been away for the game for a bit. He got popped for EPO. And I'll explain what that is and the fine nuances involved with that. Against Corey Sandhagen, a guy who they used to actually train together. If you really look at both of their fighting styles, they're kind of wireframed similarly. You know, they got that quirky, nonstop movement, very hard to lay a beat on, very hard to make adjustments. So the fight's going to be very, very intriguing for me to watch because I've watched both of these guys, you know, throughout their career. You know, when you look at a guy like TJ Dillashaw, it continues to blow me away week in and week out when you see these guys who have maybe a blip in the radar or they're maybe popped for something one time, or it's everybody just whoosh, they jump off his wagon. You know, when TJ Dillashaw knocked out Cody Garbrandt 2 times in a row, you know, everybody was like, you know, this is the man. He's, you know, possibly the best pound for pound guy in the UFC, this and that. Then all of a sudden he has, you know, a couple situations, one with Henry Cejudo, and then he gets popped for EPO, and now he's, you know, sub 8,000, sitting at 7,400 on DraftKings. It kind of boggles my mind, you know what I mean? So it just shows that it's really, 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 from the masses standpoint, it's a game of what have you done for me lately, and I do get it to a point, but there's a lot of people out there chirping things that they really don't understand about. It's almost like me jumping on here talking about underwater basket weaving or polo or something like. I don't know any of those things, you know. But one thing I do know is I understand the science behind, you know, PEDs and anatomy and physiology and kinesiology and stuff like that. So I try to educate, you know, my people on, you know, the ups and downs and the do's and don'ts and the pros and cons of them. You know, first you got to understand what EPO is, which a lot of people just don't. They categorize every steroid as a, you know, performance-enhancing drug that's going to make you into a Superman, which it does not. There is no magic pill. There is no injection. There's nothing that you can take that can completely transform and flip your genetic code to being an extremely different person, or just change you completely as an athlete. It does not happen that way. In something like bodybuilding, which I don't consider a sport, you know, I understand that. These guys are taking massive amounts of drugs, and they are actually flipping their genetic code in a sense. You can get a guy that's 140 pounds, and you can flip him into 200 pounds. That I get, but that doesn't take athletic ability. That just takes the balls to take that many drugs. You know, in something like this where, you know, what is EPO? So pretty much what EPO is, it's, you know, it's formulated in your kidneys, right? So what it does is it regulates your red blood cells. And if you're taking it from a then what do they give them? You know, they give them to patients. They give them to people with serious anemia issues. They give them to people with failing kidneys. Now, when you're cutting weight, there is a situation where, yes, you could become anemic and you can have kidney issues because, let's face it, you're cutting and you're drawing that much weight out of your body. So it will cause issues. It's not an excuse why he took EPO. I never buy a fighter's excuse why they took a PED. I didn't know. It was in one of my supplements. Look at John Jones. Everybody, let's put it this. Let's just use John Jones as an example. All the fucking shit that he's been through, you know, with the picograms and all that. Everyone's still on the boat for him being the greatest of all time. And if you guys are going to sit here and you're going to think to yourself that majority of the fighters that you watch and you enjoy has not touched a PED or have done something to kind of angle themselves in an advantageous position that probably they shouldn't have, you're mistaking. You're absolutely mistaken. If you think some of these guys in the UFC, just because they're testing negative, are actually not on gear or on something, you're mistaking. If you don't think like guys like Francis Ngannou and Yoel Romero and Paulo Costa and these guys have never touched gear, you're mistaking. Okay, so this kid got popped one time for EPO, which basically what it does in a, you know, performance standpoint is it will shuttle, because like I said, your red blood cells carry oxygen. So the red blood cells will shuttle oxygen to your muscles, which what does that do? In turn, it helps you with your better cardio output. It does help you with recovery, which is huge. You know, when you're in a traumatic situation, you're grappling and you're boxing, you're doing all these things all the time, it will help you recover a little bit quicker so you can go the next day or the next couple days and have good training sessions. but it's not going to flip TJ Dillashaw as an athlete. It's not going to, it doesn't erase all the things he's done in his career, from a collegiate level with wrestling, and it just doesn't. It doesn't erase all those things. He was popped. He paid the consequence, and now he's back. If he loses this fight, he's not losing this fight because he is no longer on EPO. So get that out of your head. Like, if people are saying that, like, oh my God, well, if he loses this fight, his whole career was EPO and PEDs, and that's why he's no longer who he is. That's false. If he loses fights, because TJ Dillashaw does have a minor durability issue, which he does. He always has had a durability issue. He would come back and win fights, but as you get older, if you're getting put on skates more and more, it becomes more traumatic. So that's where TJ loses this fight. If he loses this fight, PEDs does not give you a better chin. PEDs does not help you, become this cast iron guy. It just doesn't. If you have a bad chin and you have durability issues, you have a bad chin and you have durability issues. I don't care how many. If that's the fact, if you guys think, or people out there think, that steroids will flip an athlete and make you into a different person, then by all means, bodybuilders should be the greatest fighters, the greatest athletes in the world, because they're taking the most drugs, and that's just not the case. So, you guys got to get that out of your mind that if he loses this fight, it made TJ who he was. It's not the case. When you look at it from a DraftKings perspective, both of these guys, I mean, they really, really, do well when it comes to, their current market values and such like that. TJ Dillashaw sitting at 7,400, hit 100+ points 6 of 10 times. Current market value 7 of 10. That's 70%, 60%. That's fantastic. Sitting at 7,400, there's a lot of clear value there. Sandhagen 8,800, 100+ points 4 of 8. Current market value 7 of 8. Same thing, 70%. I'm picking TJ Dillashaw on this fight just for the mere fact that I understand he's a timing fighter. And that layoff can affect him. But he's not a type of kid to rest on his laurels. I just know that about his personality. I know that about his mental toughness. He's not home. He's not fucking eating. He's not sitting in the pool and just doing nothing. This kid has been training and training and training. He called for this fight. It's not like they said, all right, you're going to come back, we're giving you Sandhagen. He's the one who called for this fight. He's a very intelligent fighter. He's very cerebral. Sandhagen, on the flip side, the same thing, right? This is the kid who was coming up. He had a blip in his radar against Aljamain Sterling. But they both see something in each other that obviously they think they can expose. They trained with each other. I just think when you got two men coming to work and they both have a bag, and, this guy to the right, which is TJ Dillashaw, has seen more styles, has been in the bright lights a lot more, still in the right age frame, still, has a lot more to give in the sport. He can reach into that bag and he can grab a little bit more tools when shit goes, into the darkness, when they have to jump into the fire. Sandhagen has plenty of tools there, But I just think when it comes to this fight, somebody like TJ Dillashaw understands that every single round he can be a completely different fighter, and you're going to have to adjust to that. That's if it goes that long. He's got to last. But he can come out and he can give you a look where in the second round, Sandhagen has to come out and say, well, listen, I got to adjust to that. And then when he adjusts to that, TJ Dillashaw shows him a completely different look. I just think the longer this goes, TJ has the more looks, understands how to make the adjustments. Even when he doesn't need to adjust, he adjusts. It's going to be all about this. It's going to be all about TJ Dillashaw's chin. If TJ Dillashaw can withstand, what Sandhagen is shelling out to him, I just think he's the better fighter. Right now, I think TJ Dillashaw is the better fighter. Sandhagen is the fresher fighter, but I think TJ is the better fighter. From a betting standpoint, I would not bet this fight. If you're going to bet this fight, I would look for select books and maybe do over 1.5. Outside of that, I think it's a fight you got to sit down because a lot of question marks need to be answered on both sides. It's going to tell a lot about Corey. It's going to tell a lot about TJ. Where is TJ right now? Is he the same fighter after a 2-year layoff? Not for the EPO or the PEDs, the 2-year layoff. PEDs are a big mental thing, especially in fighting. If he was on this stuff, for that reason and not for the anemic reason, is he going to be mentally strong enough to say, well, I don't really need that no more. I'm going to be fine in the 4th and 5th round. That's where it boils in. It doesn't really boil in so much in a physicality standpoint. And as far as Sandhagen, we're going to have a lot of questions answered. This is without a doubt, to me, the best fighter he's ever faced. If he passes this with flying colors, then this kid has completely arrived. So it's not a fight that I would really take my hard-earned money and throw it at and just pick a side. I'm picking TJ, but I'm not going to be shocked if Corey wins. So I think the safest bet, if you can find it at a book that you use, it would be over 1.5. Outside of that, I probably would not touch this. But this is going to be a great fight. Enjoy the fights, and I'll see you soon.